Integration of First Nation content in Saskatchewan curriculum. Cultural and linguistic diversity are among the characteristic features describing the Canadian landscape. The multicultural quilt we see in Canada is vast and colorful and reflected in our schools. The challenge the education system and provincial curriculums are having today is how can a curriculum meet the outcomes today's society require and also reflect and support different worldviews and cultural traditions of our students. It is important for students to connect to the curriculum and see themselves and their culture reflected in the content. This can be very specific curricular outcomes or teachers using a variety of cultural resources to support a general outcome. Discussing, learning, and including culture in the curriculum is a means of developing positive attitudes among racial and/or ethnic minorities. It is important for students to learn that we all view things differently and come from different backgrounds and teachings that influence these views. When we take teachings from both worlds, Indigenous and Eurocentric, we gain more insight and wisdom. Saskatchewan has taken the lead with integrating the worldview and knowledge of the First Nation peoples into the renewal of the Saskatchewan curriculum starting in 2005. In 2011, approximately one-third of students were of Aboriginal ancestry, and this school year, 46% of students entering kindergarten will be of Aboriginal ancestry. The increase in population and the history of a low high school graduate rate has made the Saskatchewan Ministry of Education reevaluate the content that is included in the curriculum, the resources used, and strategies used in the classroom. When the curriculum renewal process began, a collaboration with Indigenous groups to ensure the cultural and political validity of Indigenous knowledge included in the curriculum took place. The Saskatchewan government's vision is a provincial education system that foundationally places First Nations and Métis ways of knowing in the learning program to create a culturally responsive education system that benefits all learners. This vision speaks for all students. Traditional knowledge can be found throughout the various subjects in the Saskatchewan curriculum from grades 1 through 9. The high school curriculum is slowly being released. Science, social studies, math, art, and physical education have either specific outcomes and/or indicators pertaining to Indigenous knowledge. These outcomes and indicators are written in a way that no matter what part of the province you teach and live in, you can connect the traditions of the local First Nations group. The following examples have been taken from the grade 7 Saskatchewan curriculum. Arts education. Use traditional and/or homemade instruments to investigate relationships between musical expression and place. Physical education. Examine, evaluate, and represent both the historical and present impact of Canada's northern people on the development of movement activity options as a means of supporting the well-being of self and others. Science. Relate key aspects of Indigenous knowledge to their understanding of ecosystems. And social studies. Analyze the relationship between current and historical events and the physical and social environments in Pacific and Northern Canada. Although some subjects do not have specific outcomes written into the curriculum, it is still important for students to see themselves in the content. This can be done by selecting resources that have a cultural aspect. For example, within the language arts curriculum, there are no outcomes tied to the traditional knowledge. However, it is very easy to include a diverse cultural experience and teachings into the lesson. Using oral storytelling, reading traditional stories, or creating traditional artwork or crafts can be used to bring culture into the lesson. One strategy that is used a lot in the Good Spirit School Division is inviting elders from a local First Nation bands. These presenters teach students through oral tradition. Elders and knowledge keepers provide another layer of support through sharing their place-based knowledge as it relates to the topics in the curriculum and issues of importance to the local community. We are all treaty people, another resource and supplement curriculum that has been developed by the Office of the Treaty Commissioner, which teaches students specifically what treaties are and the events that took place when the treaties were written. This curriculum has been written for grades kindergarten to grade 12 to help build an understanding of the differences between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal students. In order to gain respect for each other, Treaty First Nations and others need to be more informed about the traditions, customs, ceremonies, values, institutions, and laws of each other. In order for teachers to successfully teach their Aboriginal students, they must be aware of both contents, history, and methodology in Aboriginal education. Teachers must find a way to create an open-minded classroom that allows for many different worldviews and cultures be included in the discussion and lesson plans. It is our responsibility to recognize the differences in our students and celebrate these differences within our lessons and classrooms.